Hello and welcome to your weekly energy report for the week of July 12th, 2021. We are basking in the aftermath of the new moon in Cancer energies, which, as much as they were anchored in Cancer, it was a graduation point from Cancer, and I actually feel that the shift post that new moon is very leonine, so you're probably feeling that sort of a slow, gradual build up to a new sense of self, and all of the astrology is geared towards that too, with the Venus Mars conjunction on Tuesday of the coming week. Potent coming together of yin and yang and the full embodiment of our potential. This is a turning point for our identity, not just obviously for ourselves. We've already been going through that for the last couple of weeks, months even, shifting into a new sense of self. This is now the socialized version of ourselves, where our personality and our actions take us. So very pivotal, very powerful. I'm actually not going to speak on the astrology beyond that because that is the major focus. Venus and Mars coming together, of course, you've got male and female energy, and that is really fundamentally uh, yes, it is about enlightenment, and enlightenment is also the idea of things being more light, less heavy, So let's just go with that flow. I'm going to make this very compact and succinct this week. So we're going to start with really setting the tone with our Sacred Destiny Oracle card of the week, which is Wonders, which I will read to you. Obviously, that's a crystal we're seeing there in that image. Just around the corner, exciting possibilities are waiting for you. Wonders will be abounding in your new life. Sometimes they won't be apparent at first, nevertheless, they are. The more you see them and embrace them, the more these possibilities will grow in magnitude. Celebrate and cherish even the smaller ones, no matter how tiny they may seem. Let go of expectations. Don't limit the way you think that wondrous events could appear in your life. Be open. If you believe, anything and everything is possible. And of course, we know that that's what all of this is about. It's about being in the position of understanding that we have the power to manifest our own destiny, our own circumstances. We create our own reality. We talked a lot about that last week. Intention and focus equals result. And that's a harsh one for people that aren't doing a lot of work on themselves or are in denial or victim mode, because they're going to constantly have a but, some sort of conditional to prevent them from doing that. We all have that within ourselves, but it's more pronounced in some people than others, particularly as we've shifted into this break in consciousness. So as we move further and further towards the portal of like 5D consciousness, the disparity is becoming more and more evident. So it can be very complex and complicated and uncomfortable dealing with people who are not manifestors. And of course, when I say manifestors, I mean it can be as small as it is large in your life. And I mean, I'm at the very beginning of my learning journey too. So by no means am I stating that, I am, able to completely visualize and manifest anything that I need. Although maybe I am subconsciously. I mean, because I believe that everything that I've experienced in my life is exactly what I need. So again, sorry, I talk in circles sometimes. Um, I wouldn't know what to say about that. It's just the process of discovery, right? So, being in that position of that understanding, knowing that there's that fusional element of Mars and Venus in harmony, And then hearing that message about wonders, it really does seem to alert us to the notion that we should be not in expectation, in openness, that we actually should be consciously going out of our way to rid ourselves of any conditioning, any expectations, any cultural beacons, any sort of outcome that is programmed into us. We literally are in the position to be able to say at this very moment in time, oh, this is what I was before, this is how I did it before, this is what happened to me before, this is how I was treated, this is how I interacted with the outside world, this is how my emotions felt, and just say to yourself immediately, oh, but that's not the truth anymore. That is not my experience anymore. I have to be open to experiencing something completely differently, completely new, which is a beautiful thing when we don't live in fear. And we've talked about that. Everything about the Black Moon Lilith journey at the last, 28 degrees, moved to 29 degrees Taurus, then on moving beyond that into uh, uh, Cancer. Yeah, I think. Or maybe it's the other way around. No, it is Cancer. Um, so, all of what am I talking about? Gemini. I mean, I'm literally having like spaz moments. I'm sorry. I'm into Gemini. We talked about that like last week. So anyway, all of that shifting, our actual definition of fear has completely been eradicated into and because fear is cyclical in the sense that, our fears focus on different things at different times, depending on what's going on in our life. So, collectively speaking, Black Moon Lilith going through the 29 degrees of Taurus, as we said like last week, it's all about the focus of our identity, the focus of our relationship to Earth, to the things that ground us. So a lot of those fears will have like made us feel very ungrounded, which obviously you can see reflected in the collective experience through the pandemic, through fear of war, political strife, so on and so forth. Then on the microcosmic level, apply that to yourself and how that manifested in your life. That a lot of the buttresses, a lot of the things that seemed set in stone, traditions, societal values, laws, rules, what we define freedom as from a sociological perspective, etc., all of these things were tossed into the air, and some of them never landed again, right? Some of them landed in completely different places that forced us to confront our fears in different ways. So we've moved past that. As it moves towards Gemini, that's going to come down to our communication, our ability to externalize identity in how we're received by others, how we're not acknowledged, but how we fit in. Um, Whether or not we fall into the idea of biting off more than we can chew, the old notion of curiosity killed the cat, like, are we overly curious? Are we, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know exactly how it's going to manifest for us, but that gives you an idea of those shifts. But right now, we're at a 0 point, not quite zero, but we're headed there, where the resolution of those Taurian fears is nigh or actually happening. So that's where we're at the 0 point, moving into the Fool energy. We're going to talk about all that. All of it's explained in this actual small spread that I did. So I'll get to that. I know I'm rambling all over the place. Again, I'm in that weird position, which is very, very typical of the energy of this time, where I am overextended in the sense that I've got like a lot of, Mercury's direct. I got a lot of people coming at me, like wanting to catch up or like work, like needing things from me. And I'm not having a hard time carving out time for the things I need to do. But it's a conscious strain on my attention, focus, and how I prioritize my time. So I if you're going through that too, remember we need to make time, we have to carve out time for self care. Very important. especially right now as we're moving into these opportunities for spiritual graduation in certain ways. Okay, let me now read our Sufi Wisdom Oracle card of the week, which is Happy Life. Live a less guarded life. Sorry, I couldn't read that. Live a less guarded life. Again, when we let go of those fears, when we've moved past those fears, that naturally sort of tends to happen, right? So let's read what Happy Life tells us. I have to take my glasses off of that because I can't read with glasses on. Someone asked Junaid, the Sufi sage, "Oh, you who is aware of the hidden mystery, how can one find the secret of happiness?" "Just by connecting with the heart," he replied. That was from Attar. How do I live a happy and fulfilling life? This has been the concern of every human being on earth. To find the answer to this riddle, look around for happy people and find the secret of their happiness. By doing so, you will find out that no one is truly happy who has no love in his heart. Sufis define happiness as the perfume of the rose of love, the light shining from the candle of love, and the whisper from the sound of love. The happiness that is born of love has neither limit nor appetite to satisfy. It only comes to those who have love and share their love. Attar is guiding you to get out of your head and reach into your heart. Forget about your cares and focus on enjoyment. You don't have to chase extraordinary moments to find happiness. What you are looking for will be right in front of you if you pay attention and practice gratitude, which is what everything comes down to right now. It's understanding, too, that you already have everything. If you can be at peace and in receptivity to what is already in place, and you can find your happiness in that, it will just grow exponentially around that. If you're in conflict with your environment, if you're feeling like you are stuck behind a wall of I can't, negativity, pessimism, lack of self belief, lack of self trust, lack of faith, you will be struggling a lot right now. It's an ebb and flow, we're tempering that energy. So that's not to say that you'll be 100% in that place that we were just talking about of receptivity and being able to see all of the value and everything. But it's the conscious process that we want to be focused on in the energy of this time. This is a guidance here, right? So it speaks very much to that, what we're letting go of, the underlying energy of the week from the Osho Zen Tarot is the miser, the Four of Pentacles. So let us read the Four of Pentacles to give us context of what it is that we're moving beyond, that is giving us this liberation in the Mars-Venus conjunction energy. It is very powerful. Be aware, you can harness this. You can receive a lot from this particular aspect this week. Okay, I'll put this up here like this again. This woman has created a fortress around herself, and she is clinging to all the possessions she thinks are her treasures. In fact, she has accumulated so much stuff with which to adorn herself, including the feathers and furs of living creatures, that she has made herself ugly in the effort. This card challenges us to look at what we are clinging to and what we feel we possess that is so valuable it needs to be protected by a fortress. It needn't be a big bank balance or a full box of jewels. It could be something as simple as sharing our time with a friend or taking the risk of expressing our love to another. Like a well that is sealed up and becomes stagnant from disuse, our treasures become tarnished and worthless if we refuse to share them. Whatever you're holding on to, remember that you can't take it with you. Loosen your grip and feel the freedom and expansiveness sharing can bring. And there is that tendency right now, I think, because of the outside world, the politics and the dynamics of this time, social dynamics of this time, cultural shifts of this time, that everything is very anchored in holding on to what we have because we don't know what can come instead, and because the possibility of what it's going to come instead is dark, you know, if you focus on that in your fear, if that's what you're focused on. But if you're not, if you're focused on your own sovereignty, your own ability to manifest the greatness that you deserve, and that you're going to overflow and bring that to everyone around you, and then it's a trickle down, you know, kind of synergistic experience throughout, you know, the world, butterfly effect, you know. There's what you're focused on can be very powerfully uplifting, embellishing, you know, nurturing, magical. You have the magic. That is the magic, right? Um, it's faith to know that if you give of yourself, that you will receive. What we tend to do is we tend to focus on our trauma, so then we're like focused on all the times that we didn't get what we gave out, you know, and that we felt, you know, we focused on that pain, and therefore we felt depleted. We felt like there wasn't enough. We couldn't overflow. We couldn't give of ourselves to others because we were in self-preservation, which is what leads to the miser, because then you keep trying to hoard, and you think that if you hold on to it, that makes you wealthy. But the reality is, wealth only on every level only exists when there is a synergistic flow in and out, like the star card, you know. The moment you become miserly, you are closed to the basic phenomenon of life, expansion, sharing. The moment you start clinging to things, you have missed the target. You have missed, because things are not the target. You, your innermost being, is the target. Not a beautiful house, but a beautiful you. Not much money, but a rich you. Not many things, but an open being, available to millions of things. Exactly. Our underlying tarot card of the week: judgment, divine intervention, rebirth, reawakening, receptivity, enlightenment, shifting, coming out of the darkness. How we are represented in ourselves right now, we have the Knight of Pentacles. I'm sorry, I came up with a new system for my spread this week, so I'll tell you what each card means, and this is our representation of ourselves to ourselves. It's us in our presence, basically. The Knight of Pentacles is a very calculated, driven, practical, pragmatic knowingness. The Knight of Pentacles is generous, but also receptive. The Knight of Pentacles is determined and focused, in a faith of knowing that he will receive the outcome that he needs from the fruits of his labors and from the gifts that divine energy and flow have given him to work with at this time. So there's a deep knowingness in that that feeds our sense of purpose. And I'll take a clarifier on. I haven't taken clarifiers on any of these, so I'll do it live with you now and see what Spirit wants to add to that little explanation. Yeah, exactly. You know, well, we got two. Couldn't be more beautiful than that. The Ace of Cups and the Sun. The Ace of Cups is that knowing, that like that knowingness that if we are giving of ourselves, that we receive 7 times more or 20 times more, whatever it is that you. I've got 7 in my head because somebody that I follow keeps focusing on 7. But anyway, that is you know, that is that receptivity giving flow that exists within us. And the Sun is, of course, that ultimate happiness. The Sun is our heart in the universe. So therefore, in our galaxy, in our solar system, the Sun drives everything energetically, as does our heart. So that's the microcosmic reflection, our heart, of the Sun energy. So very beautiful. in our environment, we are represented with a reverse three of ones. Now, for me, the way that interprets itself immediately is that we're no longer in a zone of expectation. We're in a zone of, we're at ground zero, so therefore we can't have expectations at the beginning of the fool's journey because we don't know what destiny plans to bring to our attention next on our journey of learning and expansion, because that's really what that comes down to when you have a brand new like energetic cycle. It's really about the legacy that you're headed for. But you're like at the Ace of Cups, as we just saw here, and your goal in not having expectations is to accept that you will reach your Ten of Cups without knowing what those individual cups will be. So those are your emotions. This is a new emotional language that you are ready to speak. You've done the inner work. You haven't started speaking that language, but you're about to go on your exchange program, like to a foreign country. Like obviously you're not really going to a foreign country probably, but it's the idea, to immerse yourself in this new language of love. That's really what it comes down to. I'm keeping this very succinct because you know what I'm talking about. What we are leaving behind, this is our past energy. Thank God this is in our past now. I don't need to explain this. We saw it so many different times. For a long period of time, we kept having Two of Pentacles energy, and that was having our toes proverbially in two different ponds where we were like anchored in the 3D matrix, and then at the same time trying to hang out in 4D, aiming for 5D, and that juggling did not feel comfortable. It doesn't work in the long run. Obviously, it's a graduation process that pushed us to temper those two energies, to understand, to come to this beautiful place of understanding. You're in a physical body. You are you individually. That's what you're here for, to express your individual self, your uniqueness in the world, hopefully through creativity, art, however that manifests in your life. But some form of creative flow. And essentially, you still exist in 3D. Your body still exists. You're here to have your earthly human experience. So therefore, it's like marrying your spiritual understanding of the bigger scope, being able to tap into that when you're in your aloneness, when you're in your replenishing state, converging with spirit, and then being able to take that drive, that spiritual drive and energy into your life as a vessel of, you're a vessel, You need to go down because I can't focus right now. There's too much up here, okay? So we're letting go of that juggling. There's no longer the need to be juggling back and forth between those two realities. You're in this new 0 point fresh movement forward is all about the synergy of that. Which synergy is infinity. And of course, we've always mentioned that about the Two of Pentacles. The Two of Pentacles is lopsided infinity. We want to like have it like this way, so that we're in flow with the universe. Outa baby. I love you, but you need to not step on there. Okay. Okay. As you can see, he's growing a lot. He's really in his he's very rambunctious. What can I say? This is our attitude psychology to me right now, where our mind should be focused in, like, from an internal development perspective. And we got the Three of Pentacles. So the Three of Pentacles, again, is a deeply spiritual card because it does, it's understanding the need to be a part of the synergy of the universe, or like the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, or like in this depiction, it's the oh, no, you're so naughty. No, this is why you can't come up here. No, no, no. I'm putting my foot here too, so you can't go up there. Don't even think about it. Don't be naughty. Ugh, it's just incorrigible. You've got the builder, the architect, and the landowner, I guess, the contractor, whatever you want to call it, if you're looking for an analogy. So, it's the understanding that in order to build, all these things have to come together, have to be a part of that flow. Like, it's a team effort, so to speak. So now, where do you find that in your life? Who is your team? Where is your team? How are you going to manifest that, right? That's the mindset we need to be in now. We're going to have the opportunity by the astrology and planetary energies of these times, to have a brand new tribe of people come into our lives, where we meet all kinds of new people. That happens in life. Like there'll be like a huge karmic shift, and suddenly you start having very different types of people come into your life who will elevate you in a different way. Or even the people that do exist in your life have a shift in consciousness and start approaching you in a different way that helps to nourish your gifts, your purpose, etc., etc. Our future energy could not be more on the nose. It's the Fool. So here we are at that 0 point, like fresh start, faith, glory, confidence, ready to step into the unknown. Looking at me from the bottom of the deck is this card, the Wheel of Fortune, which I feel it's the right time to really bring that up as the clarifier for the Fool, because that's what it really comes down to. The Wheel of Fortune is turning. That's what happens when we have these karmic shifts that bring in new energies, new people, new purpose, new understanding, new opportunities to put into practice the enormous spiritual upgrades we have received. And our outcome, interestingly, wait, I'm confused. Oh, I guess, well, all three of these cards came out together, so I don't really know, like, which one was the... No, sorry, I'm so confused. The Fool and the Wheel of Fortune are our outcome. This is our advice, how we get there, how this manifests, this point zero, for us. And we get the Ace of Wands, the Two of Wands, and the Nine of Wands. Interesting combination. All wands, so it's all about inspiration, it's all about our drive, it's all about the ideas that thrust us forward into a new energy cycle. And what does this story tell us? Okay, so the Ace of Wands, when you have the Ace of Wands, you are in a very magically driven, inspired, creative place that sort of carries you into new opportunities, new flow, new divine inspired flow. This is a gift of fertility. It can be a very sensual or even sexual energy that like manifests through that. So if that's what you're looking for, channel it. The Two of Wands coming with that sort of tells me that our immediate jump from the Fool energy is into an informed decision about our direction. This is not a person who has not done the work. This is not Two of Swords with a blindfold on. This is us holding the world in our hands, knowing exactly why we've chosen this wand, and this one can sit by the wayside. That's strength, that's inspiration, that's divine guidance, that's faith, and it's also very exciting. Now, the Nine of Wands is there to remind us that this is where it gets tricky for us, and this is where we've had the problems in the past that we get in our way, and that's the weariness. That's the feeling of getting overwhelmed by going too quickly, by not balancing ourselves, by risking, because we do see that it's right below this card, by risking going into this energy. It won't be in the pentacle energy, but it would be like the idea of the same, when you're looking at the two of wands, the Two of Wands is a coveted place to be, because there is knowledge here, there is knowingness, there is inspiration, there's drive, there's information, knowledge, as I said. Whereas this is the opposite of that. This is where we're in the process of tempering that, so we have to have ups and downs. Of course, even in the Two of Wands energy, you can easily slip into that. And really, if you were to slip into that, that's where you would be feeling the Nine of Wands. So you need to have practices in place that ensure that you don't become overwhelmed. You have to practice self-care. You have to spiritually ground yourself at all times, and you have to stay in faith. You have to find ways to keep feeding that faith. Okay, I'm going to take one Osho Zen Tarot card to see what our overall lesson from Osho can be. Again, very often, well, no, I don't need to really, because literally exactly what we just got is what we just saw. So we have the mind here, which is overthinking, which is getting into a place of being overwhelmed because we're projecting too far, we're not grounding ourselves, and the Two of Wands, which is possibilities. So I will read the Two of Wands. And then I'll see whether or not I feel like reading the other one based on what the Two of Wands gives us, right? Okay, so let's go for it right away. The eagle has an overview of all the possibilities contained in the landscape below as he flies freely, naturally, and effortlessly through the sky. He is really in his domain, very grand and self-contained. This card indicates that you are at a point where a world of possibilities is open to you. Because you have grown more loving towards yourself, more self-contained, you can work easily with others. Because you are relaxed and at ease. You can recognize possibilities as they present themselves, sometimes even before others can see them. Because you are in tune with your own nature, you understand that existence is providing you with exactly what you need. Enjoy the flight and celebrate all the varied wonders of the landscape spread before you. Mind can accept any boundary, anywhere. But the reality is that by its very nature, existence cannot have any boundary, because what will be beyond the boundary? Again, another sky. That's why I'm saying skies upon skies are available for your flight. Don't be content easily. Those who remain content easily remain small. Small are their joys, small are their ecstasies, small are their silences, small is their being, and there is no need. This smallness is your own imposition upon your freedom, upon your unlimited possibilities, upon your unlimited potential. And that's interesting, because I also was thinking a lot about this, because somebody I admire very much was talking about this. And that's the idea that, we on the spiritual journey all consider ourselves empaths, deeply feeling people who are sensitive to other people's emotions. But let's be honest with ourselves. There's a graduation point from that too. And that doesn't mean that you lose your sense of compassion and love for other people. It's that a lot of us move beyond the trauma that we were conditioned by, where our very survival depended upon being able to take the temperature, being able to see how another person's mood was, because perhaps our parent would lash out at us if they weren't in the right frame of mind, perhaps because they weren't self-aware, the abuse that entails, essentially, when another person is not taking care of themselves, grounding themselves, seeing the purpose in their experience, and taking responsibility for how their demeanor or their actions would affect another. To a child, that puts us in the place where we become, we're hypersensitive, we want to please, we want to survive, we want to be loved. And so therefore we become conditioned to thinking that our true nature is to be empathic and receptive and accepting of anything that comes our way, abusive or not. And there comes a point when we would graduate beyond that, and that's kind of what's happened recently, if you're paying attention to that in yourself, that you're not a bad person for turning away from things that don't serve you, or that don't that cause you to remain small, not to grow, to feel emotions that no longer have any validity in your life. So you have to figure out how to step away from that, to move beyond that, in order for you to be able to keep expanding and growing and learning on this journey. So there's a little bit of that in this too, of not thinking small. It also means stop accommodating other people's needs if they're getting in the way of your own. It's a big one. You know what? I'm going to leave it on that. I'm not going to read mine, because I think that the Nine of Wands, what we said about that, pretty much summed that up, as did the Miser, that one that we had as our underlying energy. That's what we're moving beyond. So do keep that in mind as to what it is that you're stepping beyond, okay? It's important. This is going to be a good one. I know it might not feel that way right now, because we are still dealing with some dense leftovers, but it's going to shift quickly. I mean, these are really beautiful future energy cards that we have. So, no complaints. Divine intervention. Receive it. I love you. Namaste.